Welcome back to my channel. Today we will learn about the issue unfolding on CBS's The Bold and the Beautiful. In today's dramatic turn of events, we witness a chain reaction of emotions, ambition, betrayal, and irreversible tragedy, a chain reaction that has left an indelible mark on everyone involved and will undoubtedly reshape the future of Forrester Creations and the lives of its key players. The drama begins with Hope's intense anger and heartbreak when she learns that Carter is planning to return Forrester Creations to Ridge. For months, Hope and Carter had fought tooth and nail to seize control of the legendary fashion house from Ridge and Steffi. Together, they had nurtured an ambitious vision of transforming Forrester Creations into the largest fashion conglomerate in the world. Their shared dream was built on the sweat and tears of countless hours of strategizing and planning, a dream in which every detail, every bold move, and every risky maneuver had been calculated to elevate the company to unprecedented heights. However, when Hope discovered that Carter was now intent on relinquishing control of the company back to Ridge, she was devastated. To her, Carter's decision was not only a betrayal of their joint ambition but also a sign that he had been swayed by thoughts and sentiments that she considered fundamentally wrong. Hope could not understand how, after all the sacrifices they had made together, Carter could simply reverse course and hand over the company, especially when, in the recent past, they had both been so determined to secure Forrester Creations for themselves and mold it into a symbol of their shared power and vision. Carter's reasoning, however, was deeply rooted in his personal history. From the very beginning, when he first arrived in Los Angeles, Carter had been welcomed into the fold by none other than Eric and Ridge, who had given him a chance when he was still an outsider. Their support had not only launched his career, but had helped shape him into the formidable force he had become. Carter felt a deep-seated sense of indebtedness to the Forrester family, a debt that, in his eyes, could never be repaid if he continued to defy them. Even though he had taken bold steps alongside Hope to wrest control of Forrester Creations, the realization that he had betrayed those who had once trusted and supported him gnawed at his conscience. It was this overwhelming feeling of guilt and moral obligation that led Carter to decide, against Hope's wishes, that returning the company to Ridge was the only right course of action. For Hope, this decision was unthinkable. Every fiber of her being was tied to the dream they had envisioned, a future where they ruled the fashion world together, united by their passion, ambition, and unwavering resolve. Hope saw Carter's decision as a direct negation of their hard-fought achievements. In her mind, to relinquish control so easily was to forfeit the future they had so carefully planned. Her anger was not just about the loss of power, it was the manifestation of deep personal betrayal. How could Carter, who had been her partner in every sense, let go of what they had built together without even a second thought? Her emotions soared as she tried, desperately, to convince him to change his mind, pleading with him to reconsider the monumental decision that threatened to undo all they had achieved. Despite Hope's fervent appeals, Carter remained resolute. His mind was made up, his past and the loyalty he felt toward Ridge and the Forrester family loomed too large to ignore. In his eyes, returning Forrester Creations was a necessary act of redemption, a way to honor the support and kindness that had been extended to him during his early days in Los Angeles. The weight of his gratitude was immense, and he believed that he could not in good conscience continue to hold on to a company whose legacy was founded upon relationships he had once taken for granted. This internal conflict, between ambition and loyalty, between personal desire and a sense of moral duty, set the stage for the ensuing tragedy. Heartbroken and disillusioned by Carter's unwavering determination to do what he felt was right, Hope's emotions spiraled out of control. The journey home that day became a blur of anger, sorrow, and overwhelming despair. Every turn on the road seemed to remind her of the promise they had once shared, the promise of an empire built on passion and power. But now, as the realization sank in that Carter was determined to return the company to Ridge, All those dreams began to crumble before her eyes. While driving in a state of profound emotional turmoil, Hope's eyes caught sight of Carter walking along the sidewalk. In that moment, the image of Carter, a man who once shared her dreams and aspirations, triggered a surge of uncontainable anger and despair within her. The thought that he would surrender the fruits of their labor to someone else, that he would effectively erase the legacy they had fought so hard to create, was too much for her to bear. The pain and betrayal that welled up inside her culminated in an impulsive, heartbreaking decision. In a split second of desperate rage, Hope made the fateful choice to confront Carter in a way that would forever alter their lives. Unable to contain her emotions any longer, she accelerated her car, steering it directly toward him. The impact was immediate and devastating. In that violent collision, Carter was struck down, succumbing to the force of the accident on the spot. The dream they had both nurtured was shattered in an instant. Carter was gone, his life ended by the very anger and despair that had consumed Hope. As the car came to a halt, the reality of what had just transpired began to sink in for Hope. In the moments that followed, the rush of adrenaline and raw panic overtook her. Overwhelmed by terror and regret, she realized with a sinking heart that her impulsive decision had taken a life. The weight of that realization was unbearable. A single moment of uncontrolled anger had irrevocably altered the course of so many lives. In a state of shock and fear, Hope panicked and fled the scene, leaving behind a trail of devastation that would soon unravel into one of the most complex and emotionally charged investigations in recent memory. With Carter's untimely death, the stage was set for a rigorous police investigation that would soon bring every detail of the accident under intense scrutiny. Within minutes, law enforcement arrived at the scene, and surveillance cameras from nearby establishments began recording the aftermath of the tragic event. Chief Baker, the lead investigator on the case, initially put forth a theory that a drunken driver had caused the accident, a theory that, at first glance, seemed plausible given the chaotic nature of the incident. However, as the investigation unfolded and more evidence came to light, it became increasingly clear that the circumstances surrounding Carter's death were far more complex than a mere case of impaired driving. Investigators meticulously combed through hours of security footage, gathered eyewitness accounts, and analyzed forensic evidence from the scene. Each piece of data was scrutinized to build a coherent narrative of the events that led up to that fatal moment. Early indications pointed to a series of emotional and psychological factors that had culminated in the tragic collision. The fact that Carter had been walking on the sidewalk, combined with the visible distress and erratic behavior exhibited by Hope as she drove, began to paint a picture of a situation where personal vendettas and shattered dreams played a central role. As Chief Baker and his team dug deeper, they uncovered details that challenged the initial assumption of a drunk driving incident. The timeline of events, the recorded behavior of the involved parties, and the very context of the accident all pointed toward a scenario in which raw, unbridled emotion had led to a catastrophic error in judgment. Within the walls of the Forrester mansion and the bustling corridors of Forrester Creations, the reverberations of Carter's death sent shockwaves through a community already no stranger to drama and heartbreak. Colleagues, family members, and longtime acquaintances found themselves grappling with the aftermath of a tragedy that seemed as sudden as it was inevitable. The intricate web of relationships that had defined the lives of those within the Forrester universe was now strained by the dual burden of personal loss and the impending scrutiny of a police investigation that promised to unearth secrets long buried. For Hope, the weight of her actions was almost too much to bear. In the moments after the accident, as she drove away from the scene in a state of utter panic, a maelstrom of emotions raged within her. Guilt, fear, and sorrow intermingled in a complex cocktail of regret that threatened to overwhelm her every thought. She knew, deep down, that nothing could change what had transpired. The irreversible act that had taken Carter's life was a haunting reality, a reminder that sometimes, even the most intense of emotions can lead to consequences that defy redemption. And as the wheels of the investigation began to turn, Hope understood that her secret could not be kept hidden forever. Across town, as Chief Baker continued to sift through the layers of evidence, a growing consensus among the investigative team began to form. The initial narrative of a simple accident caused by a drunk driver was giving way to a more intricate and troubling picture. Every camera recording, every eyewitness account, and every forensic report hinted at the involvement of deep-seated personal conflict, a conflict that had reached its tragic climax in a moment of desperate rage. The investigators, determined to uncover the full truth, were steadily closing in on the details that would eventually expose the real series of events. And while the initial theory had provided a convenient explanation, it was clear that the truth would eventually be laid bare for all to see. In the days and weeks that followed, the ripple effects of Carter's death would be felt not only within the confines of Forrester Creations, but throughout the entire Forrester family. The tragedy became a catalyst for introspection, forcing each character to confront the consequences of their actions and the complex interplay of ambition, loyalty, and love that had led them to this fateful moment. For some, the loss of Carter was a painful reminder of dreams that had been shattered beyond repair. For others, it was a call to re-examine the bonds that held them together, a reminder that even in a world defined by power struggles and high-stakes business maneuvers, human emotions remain the most unpredictable and volatile force of all. In this turbulent environment, the investigation led by Chief Baker stands as a beacon of truth in an otherwise murky narrative. Every new piece of evidence, every breakthrough in the forensic analysis, brings the authorities one step closer to unraveling the mystery behind Carter's death. The case has become one of the most talked about and scrutinized events in recent times, with both fans and insiders alike eagerly awaiting the revelation of the full story. A story that promises to expose not only the details of a tragic accident, but also the deeper emotional currents that have defined the lives of those in the Forrester universe. As the investigation unfolds, the truth remains shrouded in layers of pain, regret, and unspoken secrets. The narrative that once seemed so clear, a story of ambition, betrayal, and a shared dream, has now been irreversibly altered by a single, catastrophic moment of anger. Hope, once a symbol of fierce determination and unwavering passion, now finds herself at the center of a maelstrom of legal and emotional consequences. The irrevocable decision to let her rage override her reason has set in motion a series of events that will challenge the very foundations of trust, loyalty, and redemption within the Forrester family. For those of us who have followed the twists and turns of The Bold and the Beautiful, Carter's death is a stark reminder of the fine line between ambition and self-destruction, a line that, once crossed, leaves behind a trail of irrevocable loss and heartache. It is a cautionary tale of how even the most carefully laid plans can be undone by the raw, unpredictable force of human emotion. And as we await further developments in the investigation, we are left to wonder how the surviving characters will come to terms with this tragedy and whether the shattered pieces of their once united vision can ever be pieced back together. In conclusion, the recent events set in motion a dramatic sequence that encapsulates the essence of The Bold and the Beautiful, a world where ambition, loyalty, love, and betrayal are interwoven into a tapestry of human drama that is as captivating as it is heart-wrenching. Hope's discovery of Carter's plan to return Forrester Creations to Ridge ignited a storm of emotions that led to a fateful decision, one that culminated in a tragic car accident and the immediate death of Carter. Despite Hope's desperate pleas and attempts to salvage the shared dream of building a fashion empire, Carter's unwavering commitment to honor his past and the debt he felt toward Ridge ultimately set him on a collision course with destiny. In a moment of unbridled anger and sorrow, Hope's actions sealed Carter's fate, leaving behind a legacy of shattered dreams, unhealed wounds, and an investigation that promises to reveal the truth behind one of the most heartrending tragedies in recent memory. As the wheels of justice turn and the investigation deepens, every camera recording, every eyewitness account, and every piece of evidence will serve to illuminate the dark and painful truth of that fateful day, a truth that will forever alter the course of the Forrester family and the future of Forrester Creations. The fallout from this tragic accident is bound to echo through the lives of all those involved, reshaping alliances, stirring up old wounds, and forcing each character to confront the heavy price of decisions made in moments of despair. Thank you for joining me as we explore this deeply emotional and transformative moment in the ongoing saga of The Bold and the Beautiful. Stay tuned for further updates as more details emerge and the investigation unravels the full story behind this tragedy. This is a tale of ambition, love, betrayal, and the irreversible cost of a single moment, a story that will undoubtedly continue to captivate and move us as the Forrester legacy is rewritten in the wake of heartbreak and loss.